Hello, Shirley. Can you hear me okay?
I can hear you fine. I'm just going to click. Got it. Okay. Right, we're all set to go then. That's 7 o'clock.
Fantastic. You look quite well.
I haven't been feeling well today, actually, for some reason. It's more physical than mental. You know, I've been doing things I'm not supposed to do, and I'm paying the price.
Oh,
Never
okay.
mind.
We'll get the show on the road. So, hello, everyone. My name is Carrie Go. My guest today is an intergalactic communicator and spiritual worker. She knowingly connected with our cosmic family, also known as ETs, more than 30 years ago. Until recently, she traveled far and wide, speaking, teaching, channeling, and sharing her gifts wherever she was guided to. She has written 9 books and created a set of cards called Little Owl Cards, which contains 72 inspirational messages from Masters of the White Brotherhood. Welcome, Shirley, Battie. I am so delighted and thankful that you are here.
Well, thank you for inviting me and for letting me meet you.
Oh, it's my pleasure. So before we get into the Q&A, Shirley, for the benefit of those who are unaware of your health situation, tell us where you are right now in terms of the time you have on planet Earth. You were so ready to leave Earth, from what I know, but your work is not quite done yet, it seems.
Well, you know, when they told me that they can't do anything about these cancers, I've got 2 kinds of cancer. And they're attacking me from both ends. So I've got them in the heart, in the lungs, in the ribs, in the spine, in the back, and all various places. And they're 2 kinds mixed together, so they can't do anything about it. So the end is, I was quite happy when they told me this because it meant no operations, no chemotherapy. I'm too old. I'm 88 next month. And, you know, it's just not worth it. So I was happy to go. I'm still very happy to go. And now everybody is sending me healing. And everybody's saying, you're not going yet. So
and that was what I discovered because I read energies. I'm an alchemist. So this morning when you said that you were experiencing pain in a rib area, so I went quickly and checked, and guys, you'll be hanging around for a little bit longer.
Oh no. So I'm busy. And of course, people are asking me, am I going to do workshops? Am I going to do this? When is your book coming out? I've got a book in process of being published.
Right.
Another book ready to go to a publisher. And I'm told that there are 2 more books for me to write. So I'm going to be busy.
Well, if the body is still able, why not?
Yeah. But I'm quite happy to be on the other side, you know. Being on the other side, not physically. And there's nothing wrong with being dead. I mean, it's the best thing ever, actually. It's a cure for all physical ailments.
Which is a good place to start this Q&A then. So where do we go when we die? Is there a place where bad people get punished and, you know, the good people congregate?
No. A lot depends on the condition you're in when you go. If you're very ill, you have a recovery room. You have what we would call a rest home. And that would be for trauma as well as physical ailments. And when a lot of people die suddenly without preparation, it can be a bit traumatic. They didn't expect it, they hadn't thought about it, but there are always people there to help them. So there is, well, I could say a recovery period. And I thought I was going to be one of those helping them when they arrived. So it looks like I've got to wait for that. There's quite a lot. A lot depends on what you believe and what culture you follow. For example, Catholics are most likely when they go over to be met with nuns and people in the Catholic, because that is their world. They will go into what they consider to be their world. You will meet what you expect to meet. Now, if you don't have any beliefs at all, that's absolutely fine. You'll still have people waiting to help you. Your own relations, always there's somebody there you want to meet again. I mean, for example, when I go, I want to meet John Steinbeck, the author, because I think he's an amazing author. So you get what you expect to get. If you expect there is nothing on the other side, you'll find out that there is, but you won't always realize you're dead.
So there seems to be a bit of injustice, like injustice in inverted commas. I understand we are all from source, from God, if you like. So there is no judgment, and yet people kind of like can get away with murder, pretty much, isn't it? Like,
no, you never get away with anything.
No,
you don't get away with anything. As you sow, so shall you reap. And it's true on the other side. When you go, there is no judgment from those who perhaps been there themselves, done that. You judge yourself. You are faced with what you've done. You see what it's done to others. You feel perhaps their pain as if it's your own. And so it's up to you to come to terms with that. And it's a long period, but sometimes you go for counseling to decide what you're going to do to get this out of your soul's experience, which generally means another incarnation, experiencing what you've given others to have. You can't get away with any bad deeds, but you also reap rewards. There is compensation and retribution.
right.
But it's you that does the deciding. Nobody is going to say, you've got to do this. Now, this brings me to a point. When you get somebody's really bad and they die, and this is really where you're coming from, I think.
Yeah, somebody like, Hitler.
They can be in their own self-imposed hell, because they will meet others similar to themselves. You see, there will be a certain vibration. And of a certain vibration, you cannot mix with others of a higher vibration or lower vibration. You naturally go to somebody with the same vibration. Now, if you've not been good and you've got a really heavy vibration because you've murdered somebody or done something terrible, you will be with people similar to yourself.
But you must agree, though, there are people who have committed terrible things, but they don't carry an ounce of guilt. So there is no guilt frequency. So what does that mean?
Well, when they go on the other side, that's when they'll meet it. That's when they're forced to face what they've done.
I see.
They will see it and feel it for themselves. And it won't be happy for them.
Oh dear.
Now, the one thing we can do, because they're souls, just like us. They're still souls at a certain part of their journey. They've done it all wrong, all right? For all variety of reasons. Nobody prays for them. Nobody thinks good words about them. Nobody has anything good to say about them. This does not help them to get better.
Right. So I get it. Yeah.
You need prayers for those who are awful, because that will help them turn around.
And which is why funerals are so important, why that comes in. Yeah. People offering prayers, right? Yeah. Whatever the religion.
And it's why they say don't speak ill of the dead, because they feel your thoughts. They know the other people's thoughts when they're on the other side. They feel them. And it doesn't help them to get better or to change themselves, because it's too painful. I've been on the other side into hell to help people come out of hell. Now, hell is not hellfire and brimstone, right? Because they go into people in the same vibration, it's hell for them, all right? Because they don't have guns, they can't, murder anybody, because they can't use the tools they did while they were on Earth. See, so they're at a disadvantage. Now, I've been over,
Have you?
created their own hell. This is the situation they're living in. I've been on the other side, in spirit, of course, to talk to them, to explain to them they don't have to stay there, but to get out of it, they have to think differently and ask for help. If they ask for help, they will get help. Everybody gets help if they ask for it. I've been to help them and take them out of their hell into a better place.
Yeah, so I read a bit about it. I've been watching the videos, your past videos, and you take on a role as a soul rescuer, right? You enjoy every minute of it.
Yeah.
And any kind of regrets, anything that you wish you had done, looking back?
There are regrets.
Are there?
Which is a waste of time, by the way. You see, when you do something you wish you hadn't done,
yeah,
you did them. You might have to realize that when you do something wrong, it wasn't with evil intent. It's because you had no experience. Because at that time you thought it was the best thing to do.
Oh, we all have done that.
But that's what you thought. Because you're not older and experienced, you don't know. So I've done things I am sorry I've done. All right. Now, if you're lucky, you'll get karma in the same life. Now, I've had karma from something I've done in this current lifetime. But I recognize, whoops, this is payback. But at least I've got it now, not in another incarnation.
Better to get it settled in this life.
Better to get it settled and recognize, wow, I know how the other person feels of what I did to them. I mean, I'm not a murderer, but we all have done things we wish we hadn't. This caused pain to other people.
Yeah.
The majority of people don't want to do harm to anybody else.
No.
If they find they have done, it's generally because they didn't realize it. It's out of experience. It's lack of judgment because they're not experienced. And of course, the consequences are not what they would like, but it's done the damage. There's no reason to feel guilty over that. Guilt is only necessary when you have deliberately, knowingly hurt somebody in some way or other.
Right.
When you do it on purpose, when you know what you're doing, then you can feel guilty.
Yes.
I didn't come into the world thinking, what's my purpose? I mean, you get married, have children. I got divorced, got married again. It's part of what you have to do to experience life. In general, to experience give and take, learning all the ins and outs of being with other people. That's part of it. That's life. That's the purpose. Once you've cleared that, when you think, right, I've done that, I've experienced that, I understand now, I have learned from it, won't do it again, sort of thing, then you have time then to focus on what your purpose is on the spiritual level. You see, when I started, when they first came to me, knowingly, because they were here before, but I didn't know, I just got divorced, all right, and I was starting I was 54, and I was starting my life all over again. And they said to me, we can now work with you for you no longer have family commitments.
Oh my gosh. Is that why people who are so drawn to spiritual work, they end up being alone? Or vice versa?
Maybe. I don't say that could be true for everybody. It was for me. Because my kids have grown up. They don't depend on me. Okay. I wasn't married. I didn't have a husband to be concerned about.
Right.
So I could focus totally on what they were asking me to do.
Right. I didn't realize it was so late in the day. In your 50s, you began to connect with the cosmic family. Oh, wow. It must have been a terrible shock for you.
No, it was wonderful, actually. And looking back, I realized they had been connecting 20 years before.
Oh,
But
wow.
if you read my book, Love Being a Human, it explains the process I went through. Because they were connecting with me before, I just didn't know. And a lot of people don't know that they're being connected because they're not thinking in that way. They're too busy living a life, which is okay. It's what we're here to do.
Yeah.
Live a life. You only think about spiritual matters and not the lives around them. Why bother to be here? Why not stay in the spirit world? We have to have a balance. You've got to look after what's around you. That means family, kids, jobs, all the rest. You've got to look after your body, eat the right food, exercise, blah, blah. And you've got to look out of the spiritual side. So it's a balance of all three things, really.
Right.
Not one in favor of the other.
So does your work get into conflict with your faith? Because obviously you're English and you would have been taught the Christian ways. And how does that clash in any way?
Not in any form. I believe in one God, covers all religions, not just one religion. You see, it's man that's made the religions. Like Jesus did not want a religion based after him. He did not want Christianity. He just wanted people to be good. It's the same with all the other religions. It's the religions that have divided people.
Yeah.
And started wars. There is one God, come by different names according to what religion you're in, but it's the same source, same divine source, and we all operate under the same one.
Right.
We have decided.
Exactly right. I completely agree, but not everybody agrees with this idea that there is only one God. There is no one faith more superior than the next.
No.
But every religion says, their faith is the true one. The rest are imposters or, devil worship.
No.
And some of them are Christians too, call themselves Christians. I have a few friends who are like that, actually.
And they don't always walk their talk. I mean, a lot of the religions, they're not doing dreadful things to other people because their religion is different. That's not being spiritual. That's not walking the talk.
No, but they are so programmed, the mind has been conditioned to believe one way, and it's not so easy to deprogram or help them to think, to see things in a bigger perspective from all sides.
Yeah.
Pretty set in their ways. But what goes around comes around.
Well, you find out when you go on the other side, because you will be somewhere you're comfortable. You won't be provided with anything that is going to make you feel uncomfortable. For example, a Jew will go into a Jewish environment because that makes him comfortable.
Yes.
A Catholic will go into all the Catholic trimmings.
That makes sense.
To begin with, until they get past that, and they become to understand there's a higher level that doesn't separate in that way. So there's a process. I mean, when we live here, we're only going to the fourth dimension, but there are other dimensions higher up.
Yes, it's fascinating. I can't wait too. But I know also that I've signed up for something, so I can't just pop off anytime I wish to. I wish it's really up to us, your choice, and say, I'm done with this body. Can I go now? It's not as straightforward as that, Shirley.
No, because you see, I was ready to go and I told them, take me. I'm very happy to leave. My family are okay. They don't need me, blah, blah, blah. But that's me, a conscious me. My soul has other plans.
Exactly right.
You see, my soul has a different plan, which I don't know about. And it says, no, you're going on. You've got more to do.
Can you take us through the transition process in terms of earthly time? Every culture has their explanation on when the silver cord is disconnected and you move to a for a number of days, and then some say 7, and then so on and so forth. Can you take us through that briefly?
Yeah, I can. In fact, I made a couple of little notes here about.
Have you? Wonderful.
Oh, yes. What happens when you actually die? The souls who are in their last breaths, shall we say, the very last moments, they are not then aware of what's going on. I'm talking about the last moments. They are already focused on where they're going and people who are meeting them. They cannot hear people around them speaking to them. They cannot see the people, the current people around them. They can only see what they're going to, even though they haven't yet actually left the body.
Would this be the final hours or the final
minutes? The
final minute. Oh, wow.
Not hours, minutes. And then the other thing is, they do not feel the pain of death, because the astral part of them, the soul part of them, leaves before the actual pain that causes death. And I'm going to give you an example. Do you know about Edgar Cayce?
Yes, the famous medium.
No, Edgar Cayce was able to see people's auras, and he was going to get into a lift. You know, you wait for the lift, it comes, and the people were already in the lift, and he did not see any of their auras. So he decided not to get into that lift. And that lift crashed and everyone died. But you see, the souls knew. The soul, they may not have known physically, but souls knew, and their auras, their spirit had already left the body.
Right, abandoned the ship.
They did not feel death. Do you see what I'm saying?
I know. We often think of like victims of car accident, how the bodies are mutilated, the sort of agony they must have gone through.
No, they get out of the body.
Exactly.
When people have had something like that, and they recover, all right?
Yeah.
And they say, can you remember what happened? They can never remember those last moments when they crashed. They never can. Because the soul has left the body for that moment.
Right. It's only the living. It's only the living, go through the imagination.
They do not go through the agony of that. Right. They may go through it later when they're in the hospital and they come back.
Yes, if they survive.
That's another thing. But for them to leave, you asked about the silver cord.
Yeah.
You do not die until that silver cord is gone, it's detached, it's cut. It's a bit like the
umbilical cord, yeah.
Umbilical cord, yeah. Once that is cut, it goes up with the departing spirit. It's as simple as that. Then it cannot return. But before that, if it's going to recover, that cord will still be attached.
Wow.
Yeah, because it's got to, because that is what keeps you in the body.
Oh, I love listening to this. I am so glad, when I discovered and realized that there is so much more to life than this physical body. Life becomes so much more meaningful, so much more exciting.
If you want to help people who died, only think good thoughts about them.
Yes, I do that all the time with my dad.
They feel that, they know that, and they need that quite often. Because they are aware that in those early moments, those early days, months, weeks maybe, we need our thoughts of us that are good. If we start saying, oh, he was a so-and-so, or he did this and he did all that wrong, it's piling it on them. They can't do anything about it. Oh
gosh, thank you for saying that. It's just so helpful. Little things like that, people don't think about it, then how words and our thoughts
and their thoughts reach those souls. They do.
Yes.
There's no other word I can say. They feel them.
So let's talk about your role as a soul rescuer. Can you talk about some of a few. One maybe not have time for two, but one really interesting experience when you let a trapped soul. I don't know. Would you call them a trapped soul or a frightened soul?
It can be trapped. They're not trapped. Means somebody's trapping them. It isn't like that. They trap themselves. An example. Sometimes they die suddenly and they're not ready. They don't know about that life. They don't believe there's life after death. Well, I'll give you an example here.
Okay.
I was asked to go to a vicarage because there was a ghost wandering around.
So a church.
Yes, it's a house belonging to the church.
Right.
All right, like a parsonage.
Mm.
Anyway, the woman who owned the place didn't mind the ghost, but nobody would stay. And she liked to have company to stay, you see. So she said, Shirley, can you come and see what you can do to get him to go, you know?
Mm.
So I went, and he was the vicar. That died there.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Why would a vicar not leave? I thought it would be.
I'm going to tell you. I'm going to tell you. And he preached in his sermons and all through his work as a church person. He preached, when you die, if you're not a good person, you get hell and
Damnation.
fire. That's what waits for you. And he believed that. And he preached it. But he hadn't been a good person. And he'd done things that were wrong. So he was afraid to go because his belief made him think that's what was waiting for him. So he wouldn't go. And I tried telling him it's not like that. But he wouldn't listen. No, he believed so strongly that because he'd done wrong, he was going to go to hell. And I said, it isn't like that, but he wouldn't believe me. And he's still there. He wouldn't leave.
Oh, is he still there?
Yeah.
Oh.
He wouldn't leave. Now, I had another, we've done plenty because, as I say, there was one lad, this is in a circle. We get a soul rescue in the circle as a rule.
Mm.
And this young man came in, and I'm the one that takes in the body. And I could feel this young man, and I knew he'd been smashed up in a motorbike. Now, you have somebody asking questions, all right?
Right.
So we found out his story. He was riding the motorbike, had an accident, got smashed up. So I said, why are you still here? Because you know you're dead. He said, no, I can't go yet because I've got a little boy, and his mother, my wife, is going out and enjoying herself too much, and she's not looking after the little boy. And I want you to go and tell her that I've said you've got to pay attention to my son.
Oh.
He gave me the name and address of this place, and he wasn't going to leave until he got that message over. So his reasons for staying is because he had a message. He had to find that somebody would take this message.
And you did, obviously.
Well, we checked out the address, and yes, it was right. But you can't go up to somebody in another part of England and say, look, I've got your dead husband here, saying, what can you do? And then another occasion, we had can't even remember his name now. We've had so many. We have a nice Crusader knight. He came through.
That long ago.
There's lots of, it can take hundreds of years sometimes.
Right.
And he didn't realize he was dead.
Mm.
And he was looking for somebody, and he couldn't find her. And I said, you have to counsel them. And I said, well, look, she's not here. She's gone. She's over on the other side of that door. And we had to persuade him to go through the door, and that's where he could find her.
Right. And that would be a happy ending. But
well, it depends on whether he found her or not. Of course, they might not want to find him, but
But were they disruptive though? Because you watch films like Poltergeist, where they can be violent.
Yeah. Well, I'll speak about Poltergeist. Now, when a soul is not passed over and nobody's taking in, they don't realize they're not dead, usually. But nobody's taking any notice of them because nobody can see them or feel them. They're in their spirit. They feel right. They feel normal. And they're saying, oh, for heaven's sake, take notice. So they start throwing things. And of course, it doesn't work because most people still can't see them. But if you start throwing, that's a poltergeist. They want to be seen. So what you need is a medium there to go and talk to them and say, look, they can't see you. So it's no good you throwing things because they still can't see you. So, and we explain how you can get over on the other side and we tell them how. And they go. I did an all-night sit with Jamaica Inn.
You were very brave.
No, I wasn't on my own. There was another medium and a gold group. There's loads of ghosts there, loads and loads and loads.
Didn't you make a film called Jamaica Inn?
That's right, yeah.
The very same one?
Yeah. Yeah, loads of them. The people who work there see the spirits, the ghosts all the time. So this other medium and I decided we were going to rescue them. And we rescued a lot, quite a lot. And there was another one in Bournemouth, actually, a little girl. The owner of the flat, it was in a flat, modern flat. And he had this little girl, spirit girl, he could see her. And she was following him and he didn't know how to get rid of her. So we went over and we saw the little girl because we connected with her, you know, spirit-wise. And she was only about 10 and she was burnt all down one side. So we learned from her that she'd been bombed. This property had been bombed and she'd been killed in the bombing because they'd rebuilt the property, but it's in that area.
Yeah.
And we said, well, you know, wouldn't you like to go to your mummy and daddy? So she was an orphan. But she didn't have a mummy and daddy. I said, well, what about a friend? You have to counsel them. Have you got a friend? Don't have any friends. Because she was a really unhappy little girl. So I said, if you had a friend, what would she be like? What would you like your friend to be? You have to talk to them as they are. And so she described the person. I said, well, there's somebody on the other side of that door, just like her, and she's waving at you and she wants you to go through to her. So she walked through and went through the door. That's a rescue. She's gone. Do you see? So every case is different, but you have to treat it and counsel it according to the situation. For the little girl, it was in getting her an imaginary friend. For the poltergeist was explaining, and so on and so on. There was a young man, now there's a guy called Leslie Flint who used to channel spirit, lot of souls like this. And he was speaking about this one, I'll never forget this, it's really funny, about this spirit who didn't know he was dead. So first of all, he spoke about when he died. And he watched his wife crying over his body and he was saying, doesn't she know I'm not there? I'm dead now. He knew she was dead. So he didn't know what to do because he was still trapped. So he took to riding up and down on the buses. And he said, you wouldn't believe how many people don't pay. And then, seriously, he was sitting on the buses, riding up and down the buses in London. So anyway, he said, one day a lady came and sat down me and started speaking to me. He said, oh, you can see me, you know I'm here. She said, yeah. She said, don't you know you're dead? You don't have to stay here. You don't have to get off at the next stop. You can come with me and I'll take you home. What they'd done, they'd sent somebody from the other side over to bring him over. Otherwise, he'd have been riding up and down like a ghost for years. Do you see? There's variations. There's so many different kinds.
Wow. You have such a colorful life. You can write volumes and volumes about these experiences. Are these in your books, Shirley?
I've written Love. This is my book.
Being Human.
I can't put it in.
I can see it. Love Being Human. Is this the latest one that's on Amazon? I think I've seen it.
It's on Amazon, yes.
Yeah.
That is the latest one at the moment, yeah. But that's given a lot of these stories in there. And a lot of predictions about what's going to happen to the planet.
Oh my gosh. We have gone past the 30-minute mark. So I'm just mindful of the time. Are you okay to continue?
Well, yeah. You tell me when you want to stop. Just tell me how many minutes.
Okay, just 5 more minutes then. I want to talk about Alzheimer's disease. What's going on with the soul of someone with Alzheimer's disease?
Well, as I understand it, they're spending a lot of time on the other side.
That's what I thought. It's not there anymore, is it?
No, they're in and out, in and out. But they're spending more time on the other side already. And it's quite good for them because they're getting prepared. Because they talk on the other side normally, they meet people they love on the other side.
Okay.
So for them, it's not bad.
Okay. All right. That's one. The next one is, what are your thoughts about keeping people on life support machine? Would you have it?
No. I've got a DNR on my records. I think when it's your time to go, you should be allowed to go.
Right. Even though your family dearly wants you, to save.
My personal feeling. It might not be everybody's, but it's my belief. If they're ready to go, let them flipping go. It's better on the other side.
Let them flipping go. Okay. Okay. So the next question is about loved ones who have transitioned, like my dear departed mom. Why is it that some experience visitations from them while others don't? How can we communicate with them? I see her in my dreams, but never like visitations, when I'm conscious, when I'm awake.
It depends on their energy. And it depends what they've got to go through when they go on the other side, how occupied they are. It depends on how strong they are to get through.
Right.
Not every soul can do it, you see.
Okay, they require some skills to be able to come to the 3D world or to be seen. Okay.
Some of them need to be shown how.
Right.
If they ask, they can be shown how to do it. But
they may not want to. The other thing
not
is
everybody can.
Okay.
This is why mediums are helpful, because they can do it for them. Because the medium, when they link, they are linking to a higher vibration, more in keeping with the vibration of the person that's passed over. So they can make that link.
Okay.
Because we don't do that.
Thank you. Thank you. So, second last question then. What advice can you give to people who are struggling with health issues and anxious about dying? What can they do? Practical steps. I know you've shared that, there is not going to be pain the minute, your soul is not going to allow you to experience agony. Yeah. But
the one most important thing, if you know you're going to die, or you don't know when, any unresolved issues with family or friends or whatever, resolve those issues before you go. If there's somebody you need to sort things out with, sort it out before you go, because it will have to be sorted out at a later date in another life otherwise. Think of it this way. They're all souls. Don't think of them as the people. They're souls who are on their journey, who haven't done it all right, probably done it all wrong, but they're still souls traveling, trying to do the best they can. And feel compassion for them. You don't have to like them, but you can love them as a soul.
Lovely.
Yeah.
So to finish off then, Shirley, are there any message from our galactic family to help us more able to navigate life in this turbulent time? We are human beings. We are limited by our physical body, right? Whereas ETs, they are multidimensional. They can see ahead. So particularly those who are struggling with terminal illness.
Yeah. Well, meditation and asking for help is the best thing you can do.
Meditation.
It's too big a question for me to answer in a few minutes. But meditation, think about them and ask them to help. Make the connection telepathically.
Any particular one? Angels?
Well, angels,
fairies.
Of course. You see, none of them can help until you ask for help. They're not allowed to help until you ask for it. That is a law. That's a spiritual law. If you ask for help, you will get it. If you don't ask, they sit there twiddling their thumbs, waiting for somebody to ask.
And we all have spirit guides, don't we, Shirley?
Yes, we do.
And how many on average does each person have?
Oh, I couldn't tell you that. I mean, there's so many, depends on each individual. More than one.
More than one.
Yeah.
Fantastic.
Yeah.
Okay, so thank you, Shirley, for honoring us with your presence and speaking so openly about a subject that people rarely discuss.
It's been my pleasure.
And it's been an absolute privilege and a joy to have you on my humble show. Many blessings, Shirley.
Now,
Thank you.
Is this going out, Carrie? Are you going to give me the copy?
Of course I will.